This is VOA Africa.
Hello, I'm Esther Githui-Ewart. It's Friday, January 15th. This is Africa 54. Due to the global outbreak of COVID-19, Voice of America is taking every necessary precaution to safeguard its employees. So our broadcast will look different today and in the near future as we, out of an abundance of caution, reduce our staffing at VOA headquarters here in Washington. We're working to help keep you informed about what's going on, and we appreciate you staying with us on Africa 54. We begin with breaking news in Uganda, where VOA stringer Catherine Nambi has confirmed with Bobi Wine spokesman that hundreds of troops are surrounding his house and many are in the yard. Nambi reports the spokesman says Wine is apparently under house arrest. Meanwhile, Ugandan election officials on Friday are tabulating ballots from Thursday's high-stakes presidential election, pitting long-time leader Yoweri Museveni against an opposition galvanized by Wine, a popular singer, despite a campaign marked by brutal crackdowns. Soraya Ali reports.
After months of political campaigning and political violence, Uganda's election day finally arrived on Thursday, with police and soldiers patrolling the streets of the capital, voters in face masks, and an internet blackout. The vote pits longtime leader Yoweri Museveni against popular singer turned politician Bobi Wine. Voters at some stations sat and waited as ballot papers did not arrive on time. Opposition frontrunner Bobi Wine headed to his polling station, guarded by men in bulletproof vests and helmets, as supporters danced and cheered. It's a familiar sight. Campaigning ahead of the vote has been marred by violent crackdowns and scores of people have been killed. The government says it was stopping illegal gatherings because of the COVID crisis. Wine himself has been repeatedly arrested and began campaigning in a helmet and flak jacket. Speaking at a news conference on election day, he said that his team continued to be intimidated.
Our polling agents and our coordinators and polling assistants are on the run because they are being surrounded and they are being pursued by the police and the military as if they are criminals.
Wine is the main challenger to 76-year-old incumbent President Museveni, who has been in power since 1986. His government ordered an internet blackout until further notice on Wednesday after banning all social media and messaging apps. There are over 17 million registered voters and the first results are expected by Saturday evening.
Soraya Ali of Reuters filed that report. Malawi is struggling to quarantine migrant workers returning from South Africa who are being tested for COVID-19. At a facility this week, returnees upset over living conditions clashed with police, and authorities say about 20 returnees at the facility escaped. Lamek Masina reports.
After working in South Africa for 5 years, migrant laborer Glory Gaila was forced to return to Malawi after losing her job amid the COVID-19 pandemic.
As foreigners, we were living in rented houses. We were supposed to buy food on our own, but we could not manage that.
Gaila is one of about 600 Malawians who returned on Saturday and were quarantined at Mapanga Prison Training School. The facility was set up to prevent importation of COVID-19 cases, which account for 40% of Malawi's total caseload. But returnees on Sunday torched buildings in protest at poor conditions. Police used tear gas to end the riot. Some returnees say authorities did not inform them before they were quarantined.
We slept on the floor. Mattresses were in short supply. The food was good here, but the hospitality we received here did not meet our expectations.
Officials say all returnees were informed of the quarantine and allege that some may have been seeking to evade paying taxes. more than 150 of those being head tested for COVID-19 and are being isolated.
These people will go home under escort, so they will not be missed out in the community. And then they will be handed over directly to the respective district health office.
Malawi authorities are searching for 20 returnees not tested who escaped during the Sunday's revolt.
I think it will be simple because immigration authorities have their passports. So it's easier to check on and see who is missing.
Meanwhile, 39 other returnees were arrested and charged with planning the scuffle. Lamek Masina for VOA News, Blantyre.
As the world continues to grapple with prevention education for COVID-19, a man in Kenya can be found pulling the strings. Puppeteer Michael Mutahi uses his craft to entertain and educate about the dangers of the virus and is gaining quite a following. Victoria Amunga has more from Nairobi.
41-year-old Kenyan Michael Mutahi is putting his 2 decades of puppeteering skills to use for educating on COVID-19.
And everybody else was actually doing something on hand washing and everything. You know, it's hand washing, keep distance. Everyone was actually saying the same thing. But I look at myself and ask myself, I'm a writer. I'm a puppeteer. I can edit, I can do all these things. So I think I can come up with something more creative because guys are so bored at home and they need information and they also need to be entertained.
Kenya has close to 100,000 confirmed cases of COVID-19 and over 1,700 deaths. Mutahi's grandma and grandpa puppets teach coronavirus prevention to his growing audience.
For kids, it's better because kids would like more fun. It would draw their attention. When they're watching puppetry, it draws their attention for the young age.
Mutahi is among 100 professional puppeteers in Kenya. Director of Kenya's Institute of Puppet Theatre, Philemon Okoth, says they're doing more than just entertaining.
We have managed also to play a role in creating awareness in the community in relation to COVID-19. And we have several clips out there. Not only from KPT, but also from partner organizations that we've trained that actually we coordinate most of their work, and also from individuals.
Kenyan authorities are supporting the use of puppets for COVID-19 education, including using a mobile cinema to reach people.
We take the art to them. More importantly, because of COVID-19, right now the idea of having closed door theater is not very popular because you are limited because of social distancing. So this mobile cinema unit will become very popular.
For Mutahi, the merging of COVID prevention teaching and puppetry means his art will reach an even larger audience in Kenya. Victoria Amunga for VOA News, Nairobi.
They don't understand that people like us are very vulnerable to the coronavirus.
Americans are getting ready to inaugurate President-elect Joe Biden next week after one of the nation's most contentious elections and a violent assault on the U.S. Capitol by supporters of outgoing President Donald Trump. VOA's Mike O'Sullivan tells us about the mood of the nation as the United States transitions into its next political phase.
After an unprecedented break-in of the U.S. Capitol by Trump supporters, and funeral of a Capitol police officer, one of 5 people who died in the riot. Now, unprecedented security for the Biden inauguration January 20th, and a second congressional effort to impeach the outgoing president, Donald Trump. Amid ongoing threats of violence, one Seattle man is worried.
There are a lot of people that are Donald Trump supporters that are madder than a nest of hornets. You know, they're dangerous. I don't think they're going away.
He says they're undermining President-elect Joe Biden's efforts to tackle the nation's problems.
Constantly trying to say he's an illegitimate president. And I mean, that's just the start of his term.
A Cuban immigrant in Miami is worried about Biden's progressive politics.
Yo espero desastres.
I expect economic, political, and social disasters for a simple reason. He is a socialist.
But another Miami resident says whoever is president deserves to be respected. He hopes Biden is successful.
I hope he does great. He's our president now, so, just as I respect President Trump, I hope Joe Biden does the best for America. We gotta win.
This woman is also hopeful.
I am very happy because I think there are going to be big changes.
In Santa Monica, California, one man called on Biden to address the nation's pressing problems.
Number one is the virus. We have to do a much better job. We can't keep talking about it. We have to do something about it. They'll do something about it.
And Biden needs to overcome political divisions, say two other men.
I'm hoping that Biden could bring the nation back together. I'm hoping that he could. There's so much, I guess you could call it political segregation. Yeah. I don't know why. That's but it's very intense.
Amid ongoing threats of violence in Washington, D.C. and around the country, the national mood is somber.
It's a mess. I don't know how they're going to fix it. I hope they can.
Nerves on edge ahead of what is usually a jubilant celebration. Mike O'Sullivan, VOA News.
Ahead of President-elect Joe Biden's inauguration on January 20th, law enforcement and local government officials in Washington, D.C. are implementing unprecedented security measures to avoid the massive security breach that happened last week. VOA's Patsy Widakuswara explains.
U.S. law enforcement agencies in charge of securing President-elect Joe Biden's January 20th presidential inauguration are determined to avoid a repeat of this scene. Last week's bloody siege by supporters of outgoing President Donald Trump. Tens of thousands National Guard troops from several states will be in Washington as early as end of this week. The city's Mayor Muriel Bowser said that Biden's inauguration poses unprecedented challenges, from the COVID-19 pandemic to extremist threats.
People coming to demonstrate peacefully are very different than the people we saw storm the Capitol the other day. And I think that it will be shown that those people were organized, trained people who went into that building.
On Tuesday, the Federal Bureau of Investigation said it has received 100,000 videos and pictures as tips and opened 160 case files in its probe of the siege.
To focus strictly on sedition charges, we're looking at and treating this just like a significant international counterterrorism or counterintelligence operation.
Cracking down on domestic terrorism presents unique legal challenges compared to fighting terrorists abroad.
You're dealing with Americans born and raised here who enjoy protections under the Constitution, and they know where that line starts and stops in terms of how far they can go before they get over into the criminal side of the activity.
Responding to VOA's question earlier this week, Biden said he is not afraid of taking his oath outside, as is the tradition in American inaugurations.
I think it's critically important that there be a real serious focus on holding those folks who engage in sedition and threaten people's lives, deface public property, cause great damage, that they be held accountable.
For weeks, authorities monitored online activities of right-wing extremists and white supremacists urging the January 6 attack on the Capitol. Now they are focusing on those planning for more violence leading up to or during the inauguration. Patsy Widakuswara, VOA News.
With Joe Biden set to be sworn in as the 46th President of the United States, every 4 years, Americans pause for this peaceful transfer of power, a potent symbol of American democracy. VOA's Dora McCoy has more.
I, Harry S. Truman, do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully execute
the office of President of the United States
and will, to the best of my ability,
preserve, protect, and defend
the Constitution of the United States.
So help me God.
Congratulations, Mr. President.
Inauguration Day is an affirmation of the enduring American ideal of self-government. A new leader is sworn in, gaining the power to rule by the consent of the governed.
Let us shape the hope of this day into the noblest chapter in our history.
New presidents begin their term with a speech that sets the tone for the next 4 years.
The only thing we have to fear is fear itself.
Ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country.
It's a real opportunity for American renewal. It is the first time that the president introduces himself as president to the nation, and he will never have that opportunity again to do that. So it's a very important moment in American history.
Government is not the solution to our problem. Government is the problem.
Whether it's Ronald Reagan's call for limited federal power or the inauguration of America's first black president, there are times when inaugurations transcend their moment.
They live on in national memory because they speak to something more fundamental about the country and about the period in which it is passing.
It can also be a time for symbolic gestures. In 1809, James Madison made sure his entire inaugural outfit was made in America. Dwight D. Eisenhower's 1953 inaugural parade showcased America's military might.
In 1865, Lincoln's second inauguration, he invited African Americans to participate in the inaugural parade for the first time. In 1917, the second inauguration of Woodrow Wilson, women participated in the inaugural parade for the first time.
William Henry Harrison's 1841 inauguration was the most tragic. At 68, the oldest man ever elected president at the time gave the longest speech in inaugural history, over an hour, despite freezing temperatures.
He wanted to prove that he was vigorous and that he was up for the job as president.
Harrison fell ill that evening and died a month later. He remains the shortest-serving U.S. president in history. Inaugurations have grown from simple affairs into extravaganzas. The birth of television made visuals more important, but the increasing weight of the job might also play a role.
As the duties, the responsibilities of the president has grown, I think we've seen the inaugurals take on a larger than life atmosphere with the parties and the parades.
A celebration of the endurance of American democracy. Dora McQuarr, VOA News, Washington.
We're excited to hear what you think about Africa 54 and the stories we cover during the discussion on Facebook. The address is Africa 54. We're also streaming our broadcast live on Facebook. Please watch and share our show with your friends. Also, check out our headlines 24/7 on voaafrica.com. Coming up, a new music video by Nigerian artist Omutayo Wumi. We'll be right back.
Health, wellness, sport, beauty, medical breakthroughs. Healthy Living cares about your well-being. What are the main health concerns in Africa and around the world? Find out the latest on coronavirus. Connect with our experts and ask them questions.
How long does the virus stay?
Join me, Linor Mudu, in Washington, every week on Healthy Living, right here on VOA.
Welcome back to Africa 54. More than 150,000 people from 154 countries are at the U.S. Consumer Electronics Show, all online this week. VOA's Michelle Quinn reports.
A transparent TV screen, phones that roll, faucets you talk to, flying taxis. The Consumer Electronics Show, normally in Las Vegas, is this week entirely online due to the pandemic. Still, they come. About 170,000 people from around the world are attending virtually to see nearly 2,000 companies show off what's new. A big focus, consumer technology's response to the pandemic.
We're seeing a lot even with like touchless technologies, things that are sensor driven, because again, people right now don't necessarily want to be touching things.
Perhaps because the event is online, nearly half of the attendees this year are from outside the U.S., more than a typical year.
It's just been so much fun to see people saying hi from Sri Lanka, or hi from Peru, or hi from, places that we just wouldn't think that people would be tuning in from.
For exhibitors, the online venue is bittersweet. No one can touch and feel their products. It's harder to meet people.
To understand this, you need to hold it. And this is for us, it's a little bit sad. But I don't think this is a big problem, because maybe in some perspective, it's even better.
It's an opportunity to meet each other. It's awkward, but it's the best we can do on this situation.
I actually feel it might be even better, because it seems to me, the number of exhibitors now is much less than, the previous time. So we get more attention.
Organizers say all digital CES can't replicate everything positive about being in person, but they are putting on a show, a feat given the pandemic.
What people look forward to now, as we see, especially after this year, is that this need to come together and showcase how technology can change things and advance things and, really help solve things for people.
Technology, bringing people together while giving a glimpse into the future. Michelle Quinn, VOA News.
It's time for our entertainment feature, and we leave you today with an exclusive premiere of a new music video by Nigerian singer, songwriter, fashion designer, and dancer Omotayo Olaiya, known by his stage name Wumi. VOA's popular Music Time in Africa host Heather Maxwell joins the artist in Lagos to talk about it.
Wumi, how are you doing there in Lagos?
I made it.
You are poised to release your sophomore album.
Yes.
And you have
way overdue.
Way overdue. And you have 2 music videos that are from 2 tracks from the album that have not yet been released. And I am so excited because we are going to preview one exclusively on Music Time in Africa and Voice of America. The one that I want us to watch together is Empty Vision. Let's watch a little bit and then we'll come back and talk about it.
Yearning for too many things, losing sight of what you need. Human vultures scavenging through all the mainstreams for means to live.
Wumi, your energy is just incredible.
Thank you.
Where do you get all your energy?
Water and life, doing what I love.
Tell me about the set.
Well, that was all of One Love. One Love the Kubalo, who is an amazing Ghanaian artist. And oh my God, if you don't know him, please research. Literally, we used what was there as a set as it's happening. So we moved around. As you can see in your trail, I walk into the yard. And as I'm going through, you're seeing all this, what is happening. And that's literally, he scripted in that whole moment as I'm in there. The only thing we said was getting all those TVs layered up so that they would taller than me.
I've listened to several of the tracks on your yet to be released album, and this one definitely has the most Afrobeat sound. I can hear that, and I really like it because I don't see too many female artists really embracing that and being able to match the energy in body with the energy of Afrobeat.
Well, that's the thing about, I feel, with Afrobeat, is that you can't be timid about it. You really have to ride it because the sound is so fast. Yeah.
The fashion and the dance is also wonderful in this, and that's not a surprise because you are also, in addition to being a singer-songwriter, a fashion designer and a dancer. Did you choreograph and design everything for this video, or did you have outside people as well?
No,
this is all Wumi.
Do everything myself. It's all Wumi. I always laugh because I'm one of those people who do not know how to follow instructions.
Share it. I do. Who likes to win a yellow Hummer?
The message itself about emptiness, what has inspired you to sing about emptiness?
I came to Ghana in 2009 and I fell in love with Ghana, Accra especially, because it reminded me of Lagos that I grew up in. I was sent to Nigeria when I was 4 and I lived 10 years. And when I returned to Nigeria, it wasn't the place that I remembered as a child. Going to Ghana for the first time in 2009, it was like I went home. It was like, wow, I remember this place. Then I decided I was going to come and record my album there. During the whole process, when I needed to write, I would get on a trotro. Trotro is the buses that goes around. And I would sit in there and I would wait for words to come to me to write. And empty vision came during that process of me sitting in the trotro, looking around me, seeing all the hustle and the anxiety and seeing what people are yearning for. And the words flowed easy for me to write it down.
Wumi, thank you so much for joining me. It has been a real pleasure meeting you. I can't wait to hear the rest of your album.
And I'm happy that I got to be on your program to actually talk about Shimi. And I hope your audiences will enjoy watching Empty Vision and listening to the album when it finally drops. 2021, it's official. Now I said it on your show. It has to happen.
All right, Wumi, thank you. Take care.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
That was VOA Music Time in Africa host Heather Maxwell speaking with Omotayo Olaya. And that's our show for today. Be sure to watch Africa 54 on our website at voaafrica.com. From all of us here in Washington, have a great weekend.